So in last session, we have started our discussion on the JSX elements, right? JSX elements. And we were understanding how to create user interface with JSX element. How to create basically UI components using JSX element. And for that, we have followed that approach. What is that approach? Create a variable where whatever name you want, like for example, heading, and to that variable, you assign your JSX element. And how to assign JSX element? For that, we have to just utilize the HTML knowledge. So how we create heading elements in HTML? So same way we can write the code here. Suppose if I want to use H3, I can just use here H3 like this. And whatever content I want to display here, I can add that content. Now this code, this particular code, we have to give to the, so JSX code we have to give to whom, guys? Have you remembered? So this JSX code we have to convert into React element. Now, who will convert this JSX code into React element? Have you remembered that term? It's nice. So we have to give this code to Babel compiler. What Babel compiler will do? It will convert this code into React element. It will simply convert this code into React element. React element. And now this React element code, we will give to React DOM. We'll give to React DOM. React DOM will add this code. React DOM will add this code into the DOM. It will add this code in the DOM. And in that way, UI component will be visible on the screen. In this way, UI component will be visible on the screen. This is what approach we have followed. Okay. So let's try this. One more example on this. So let me just create one template here, one file called template, or let me just create here directly a file called div.html. Now I need to write the code here. So in last class, if you remember, we have created one template. So let's add that template in today's folder. So in last class, I have created one template, right? I will copy this template and I will paste here. So that no need to write everything from the scratch. We can just copy this template as it is. We can paste here. Now what we need to do inside this script tag, here we have to write React code using JSX. So here I can create var heading or var container equals to one div element. And here I can mention some content. For example, randomly I'm maintaining some content. Now, this code we have to give to the Babel. So explicitly as a developer, you need not to write any code. Just you call the React DOM dot render and pass your this variable as a first argument, and second argument should be the DOM element of this div. That is document dot get element by ID of root. That's it. Now the moment you load this, you will see that div on the screen. See that div is displaying on the screen. Like this, if I want to create h2, what I will do? Where h2 equals to h2 tag. I will say h2 element in JSX. I will close this h2. Now this h2 also I want to show on my screen. So what we can do here, the first argument we can take array because now we have to add multiple elements. That's why array. So first I want to show container, comma, then I want to show h2. Now if I go back here and if I refresh, you will see that one div, one h2. Like this, we can add in any sequence. Suppose after this h2, again, if I take h2, then I take container, then you will see that on your screen also first container will display nothing but div, then h2, then h2, then div. Like this. Now see how easy it is to create UI component exactly like HTML, exactly like HTML. And we are using our HTML knowledge only. We are not spending any extra efforts or extra time to learn this JSX now. We are just utilizing our HTML knowledge. So if you see, HTML and JSX are very similar. So I can say JSX is similar to HTML. Similar to HTML. It is not exactly like HTML. It is similar to HTML. JSX has some extra capabilities. It has some extra capabilities compared to HTML. Now, what are those capabilities? Let's try to understand. Okay, so before I proceed with the next part, can you guys tell me whether you have understood this example or not? I'm just raising a poll. Okay, let me create one poll. And you just let me know the answer in the form of yes or no, guys. Okay, did you understand? I will add here option as a yes. I will add option one more is no. Title as a concept. And I will launch that poll for you guys. Yeah, I have launched the poll, guys. Just reply on that poll, yes or no, whether you have understood current example or not, this example. Okay. Okay. I think I got out of 9, 8 people told they have understood, and then 1 person did not understand. Can I know which part you did not understand? Like if you want, you can unmute yourself and you can ask. Like whoever did not understand. Okay. Now we have seen here how to create our UI component. React.render is nothing but this is just a way to add our React elements inside this div. So basically what we are doing, this code and this code, we are adding inside this root div. Here we are adding. How to add? For that, we use this React DOM. If you see here, if I just inspect my code, this is our HTML code. In this, you just check, we have a body. Under body, we have one div with the ID root. And if I expand that div, under that div, we have one more div, see? And under that, we have h2, one more h2, one more div. So how our React code, we are able to add inside the HTML div whose ID is root using this React DOM. So what this React DOM.render is doing, it is taking this container. Container is nothing but this div. And it is placing inside this element. What is this element? This div. Here it is placing. So using React DOM.render, we are saying whatever JSX elements I am creating, all this we have to add here. Okay, that is rendering process. That is what we call as a rendering. Okay. Yeah. Now let's come back here. All this I have explained, guys, in the initial classes of our React. So in case if you did not watch that YouTube video, feel free to watch, guys. Okay, till now we are creating a single element. Till now I was creating only a single element. Now my requirement is I want to create nested elements. Nested elements. Nested elements means something like this. I want one div. In that div, I want one h2. I want one h2. So how to create this kind of structure using our JSX? That is what we have to know. How to create this kind of structure using JSX, we need to know. I want to create like this nested element. So till now, if you see in this example, if I inspect, our h2 are not inside this div. So this div we have created using React. Now after this div, we are displaying h2, then next h2, then next div. But now my requirement is this h2. I want to display inside this React created div. Here inside this, I want to display this structure I want. So how to do that? It's very simple. Let me just add here 02 task.html. This first file I will rename to 01 underscore task.html. So it will be easy for you also to practice all this example in this sequence only. Now in this 02 task.html, I will copy the template code. I will copy and I will paste as it is. If anyone is new to today's session, guys, already I have explained all this in my previous videos. Okay. So if you get the time, just go through that YouTube videos, then you will understand what is this script tag next, what is this Babel, everything I have explained. So save all this, close, close. Now my requirement is I want this structure. So remember one thing, guys, if you are creating a variable like this, var x, any JavaScript variable, if you are creating, now to this JavaScript variable, by default, you can assign only one element like this. You can assign only one element. If you want to assign two elements, to this variable, in that case, what you need to do means you have to take one wrapper. And that wrapper in React, we are going to call as a fragment. React fragment. And how to define that React fragment? Just open your angular bracket, close your angular bracket. Again, you have to open your angular bracket, slash, close your angular bracket. This is called React fragment. And inside this React fragment, you can add multiple JSX elements. Like I can add one h2 and I can add one paragraph also. But without this React fragment, we cannot add like this multiple elements to one variable. We cannot assign like this multiple elements to a variable. See, if I remove this fragment, you will get the error. See, you are getting the error. So we cannot assign like this multiple elements to a variable. So if you want to assign multiple elements like this, then you have to create that wrapper. And this wrapper, we are going to call as a React fragment. We call this as a React fragment. Okay. Now see here, if I just go back and use React DOM dot render, and if I pass here x comma document dot get element by ID of root, and if I load this, so one h2 and one paragraph will display. So just for our understanding sake, here I will say React JS library. And here I will add some random content. If I go back, refresh, you will get like this. We got like this. Just go back here, refresh, we got like this. Understood, guys? What is React fragment? So React fragment is wrapper, which will help us to assign multiple JSX elements to a variable. React fragment. And this React fragment we are going to define using this angular brackets like this. This is React fragment. And in this React fragment, we can add multiple JSX element. JSX element 1, like this 2, like this 3. And you can assign this fragment to a variable. You can assign this fragment to a variable. Okay. Yeah. Now let me just take one more example, 03 task.html. Let me copy the template. Let me paste here. Now, in this example, we will create this structure. How to create this structure? Very similar. Where elements equals to one div. Inside that div, we want h2. So inside that div, we can simply take h2. I will say h2 inside the div. That's it. If you see, directly I'm writing my HTML code. Apart from that, nothing else. Now what we need to do this, we have to load in the browser. For that, React DOM.render elements, comma, document dot get element by ID of root. And if I load this, you will see that h2 inside the div. If we right click, inspect, and let's check whether inside our div, do we have that h2 or not. See, if we have a div called ID root. Inside that, we have one more div. And inside this div, we have h2. So this is how we got it. Here, if you focus. Okay. Because here I am not using multiple elements, right? I am using nested elements. For nested elements, no need that. When we have to go with this fragment, if you are using like this multiple elements, h2 and paragraph. If these two elements are sibling nature, then we require that fragment. If your elements are in parent-child nature, in that case, fragment is not required. Here, div and h2 are in the parent-child relationship. So here for this element, we are directly assigning this div. Inside this div, we have h2. It is allowed. But if you want to assign two elements to your variable, then it is not allowed. In that case, we have to go with fragment. Here they are in the sibling nature, and here they are in the parent-child nature. Okay, only for siblings like this, we have to take fragment. If like this, you want to define parent-child, you don't require fragment in that case. Okay. Now, my requirement is I want to create one card, guys. I want to create like this one card. And in this card, I want to display one user image. Some user image I want to display. And then I want to display username. I want to display username. That's it. I want this kind of structure. This kind of UI I want. So generally, if you want to create card, what we are going to do means in HTML, what we do in HTML means we take one div element. We take one div element. And we know that by default, the height of the div depends upon how much content you will add. So this height of the div is how much content you will have, depends upon that height will be created. But width will be 100%. Width will be always 100% of your div. So what we will do, we will use CSS and we will decrease the width. We will decrease the width of the div. And we will increase the height of the div. So that we will get that this card structure. So what we are going to do, by default, we know that if you take a div element height depends upon how much content you have in that. And width will be always 100%. So now what we are going to do, using CSS, we will decrease the width. We will decrease the width of the div. We will increase the height. And we will assign one border property to that div element. So that you will get this card structure. You will get this card structure. Let's see here. I am creating 04 card task.html. I will copy this template as it is. I will paste here. Now, I want to create a card. So what I will do, I will take a variable called card. And to this, I will assign one div. Now this div, I want in the card structure. So to get this div in the card structure, we have to apply some CSS. Now how to apply CSS? Just assign some ID. Whatever ID you want, you can assign. You can select this JSX element using your CSS any approach. You can use inline, internal, external, whatever approach you want, you can use. I'm just going with the internal approach. I'm taking style tag, selecting that div using ID approach, and I will assign width property with a value called 270 pixel, height around 400 pixel, or maybe let me try here 370 pixel, and border 2 pixel solid. Maybe I will add here something called black. Now this div element I want to show on my screen. So React DOM dot render card comma document dot get element by ID of root. Now if I load this, you will see one card structure on the screen. Now here I want one image. So inside this div, I can take one image tag. I will assign some width and height. Here width, I will take same 270 pixel, and height, I will take around something like 290. 290 or maybe 310, 320 I will take. And after that, I want one H3. In that, I want to display some username. So here I will display something called John Krish. Here I required some image URL. I will try to get some image from the internet. I will search for some male professional images. I will get some images here. I will select one image. I will copy the address of this image. Let me close this. Let me go back here. Let me paste here. And let me save it. Now, if I go back to my browser, if I refresh, you will see that image is displayed and that content is displayed. Okay, now this image height looks so much. Let's decrease the height. Maybe here I can add 270 pixel here also. If I refresh, it looks like this. Now this content I want exactly in the center here. So what we can do is, for this card, we can add text align center. Like this we got. Now instead of using border property, we can use box shadow also. It will give better styles, better interface. That is box shadow. So 0, 0, 10 pixel. I will take something called red. So if you see here, we will get that shadow effect. Now here we got shadow effect. Now see, we are able to create one card. And to create card, what we have done, just we have written the code similar to HTML. And CSS also, see, we have added using internal CSS approach. Like this, I want one more card. I want to show one more card here. After this, I want to show one more card here. So what I need to do, guys? Can you tell me what I need to do now? I want to show one more card. What I have to do? After this card here, I want to show one more card. What I need to do? Anybody can give me the answer? What I have to do? Nothing. Just here, instead of directly passing card, take one array and pass that card 2 times. If you pass 2 times, 2 times you got. Like this 2 times you got. Yes. This is one technique, guys. This is one technique. This is one technique. Another technique. Let me show you another technique. Instead of passing array here, we can take one JSX element called div. We can take one JSX element called div. And inside this JSX element called div, we can assign JavaScript variable. We can assign JavaScript variable as a children to this JSX element. How to assign? For that, we have to follow some syntax. Okay, so let me explain this concept. Suppose you have HTML. Suppose in HTML, we are creating a div. Now tell me, inside this div, inside this opening and closing tag of the div, can we write JavaScript code? Can we add here JavaScript code? Inside the opening and closing tag of HTML div element, can we add JavaScript code? No, it's not at all possible, right? It's not possible in HTML. It is not possible. But in JSX, it is possible. This is the first difference between HTML and JSX. So if I take here JSX element, then it is possible. So in JSX also, if you want to create div, how we create div? In this way only. In this way only we create div. But now inside this opening and closing tag, I want to write JavaScript code. So if you want to write JavaScript code here, what you need to do means you have to take one curly braces. You have to take curly braces. Inside this div, you have to take curly braces, and inside this curly braces, you can write your JavaScript code. You can write JavaScript code. It means here you can pass function call, you can add variable, you can add array, whatever you want, you can add. But inside this curly braces, we have to add. This is valid in the JSX. Okay, see here. Now this is our JSX element. Now here I want to add one variable called card. Now here card is a variable. It means it is a JavaScript code. So how to add that variable? use curly brace, add that card. So you are adding that card one time inside this JSX. So on your screen, only one card will be visible. I want to add one more time. So what we can do here, I can add one more time. Like this, we can add any number of times. I can add one more card. So totally 3 times I am adding here. Now, if I go back here and refresh, 3 cards will be visible on the screen. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, what is the benefit of this approach? What is the benefit of this approach? If you want, you can assign some ID to this div. You can select this div in CSS and you can add some style. Like I can make it display flex. And here justify content, I can say space evenly. Now, if you see here, right now, our cards are displaying one after another. But if you want to display these 3 cards in the same row, then we can add flex concept. See, the moment I refresh, now we got like this. If I want, I can add one more. If I want, I can add one more. So the benefit of this is now we can make this div as a flex container. And if you go back here, if you refresh, you will see 4 cards. Four cards we are able to add. Understood how to add multiple cards? Understood this both the technique? You can go with this approach, you can go with this approach. But the problem with this approach is we cannot add CSS. We cannot add CSS. But with this approach, we are able to add the CSS. We are able to add the CSS. If you want, you can go with this approach also. But in this approach, we don't have any way to add this. We don't have any way to add CSS for this way, for this code. But in this approach, we have this. We have a way to add CSS. Okay, now see, all these things are very, very new, guys. If you are learning React for first time, now you will feel everything new. And so many things we are learning here. So many new things we are learning here. So remember, every day you have to practice. If you don't practice, I am pretty sure that you will confuse. You will get confused in coming sessions. You will feel like you are understanding, but suddenly a day will come where you will get confused. So what you need to do every day, you have to practice, you have to analyze, you have to understand what I am teaching. If required, watch the recording multiple times. This is the only reason I am providing the recording, so that you can watch multiple times. Because I know as a fresher, if we are learning React first time, then we won't understand everything in the first explanation itself. So we required videos to watch those multiple times so that we can practice and we can understand the things in clear manner. Okay. All this code I am updating on GitHub, guys. I hope everybody joined my WhatsApp community. There I am uploading, I am sharing GitHub link also. And in that GitHub link, every day, every session code I am updating. Okay. So go through that GitHub and access the code, download the code and practice it. I am providing you recorded videos. I am providing you daily class notes, daily class code, everything I am giving you. I am saying one more time, guys, whatever I am teaching the React, whatever React I am teaching, this knowledge is equivalent to the person who is having 3 years of experience in the industry. Whatever I am teaching, it is equivalent. It is equivalent to 3 years experience knowledge. Means your knowledge will be equivalent to 3 years person. A 3 years experience person will have how much knowledge? That much knowledge I am giving you. Right now we are at very basic level. Slowly, the way we enter into advanced concepts, you will understand. So the moment I enter into advanced concept, at that time, you should be very clear with all the basics of React. You should know everything that I have covered. And you have to master this concept. You have to master it. So let me tell you one fact, guys. Let me tell you one fact. So now AI entered into picture. AI came. So everybody is aware of AI, right? Are you guys aware of AI? Now, because of AI, now market trend got changed. Market trend is changed. Market trend got changed. Now, what is that changes? Let me explain you. Let's assume that there is a company. There is a company A. Now, this company will hire 10 developers every year. They will hire 10 freshers. 10 freshers every year. Let's assume that. Now, this company will hire 10 freshers every year. And they will train them. They will start giving work them. And they will pay them amount. They will pay the salary. Now, AI came into picture. Now, what this company is doing? Instead of hiring 10 freshers, now this company is hiring only 2 freshers. Only 2 freshers every year. And they are taking the subscription. They are taking the subscription of AI. They are taking the subscription of AI. AI subscription they are taking. Subscription means you have ChatGPT. Now ChatGPT have premium version, it has free version. Now companies are taking premium version and they are asking these freshers, they are asking these developers, use AI to create application. Don't write everything from the scratch. Ask ChatGPT whatever you want. Now, initially, if I want to create a login page, with functionality, company used to provide 3 days for it, 3 days deadline. It means within 3 days, you should create login page with its functionality. Just login page and its functionality if you want to develop, company used to provide 3 days. Now, what company is saying, if you want to create login page with functionality, now you have only 1 hour. Within 1 hour, I want this. If you want, use ChatGPT. I don't have any problem. Use any AI tool. I don't have any problem. If you want any subscription, tell me. I will buy that subscription. Use it. But I want within 1 hour, login form should be created. Its functionality should be working. Now, compare the timelines, guys. Compare the timeline. When I was fresher, I got 3 days to implement this. They gave me 3 days deadline. Now, your generation, 1 hour. Now, compare the deadlines. Where is 3 days? Where is 1 hour? Here, we used to write everything from the scratch to end. Here, use AI. Here, check. Company was hiring 10 freshers. Means company used to open 10 openings. Now, company is giving only 2 openings. Now, they are giving opportunity only 2 openings. Means Are you able to see the difference? Now, initially, for 10 openings, 100 people used to compete. Now, for 2 openings, same 100 people will compete. Now, instead of 100, it became 1000. So, at my time, we used to have 10 openings. For that, we used to have 100 people in the competition. Now, there are only 2 openings and you have 1000 members for the competition. Now, just imagine how strong you should be in your technology, whatever you are learning, how accurate you have to be, how focused you have to be. You have to understand that. That is why I am saying, whatever I am teaching, whatever you are learning, whatever technology it might be, wherever you are learning, master it. Master it. It's not like if you know basics, if you know 30-40%, things will work. It's not like that now. If you want to learn something, learn 100% or else don't learn. That is how the market is. Learn 0% or learn 100%. And that is how our attitude should be. This is the current generation, guys. This is the current time. This is how AI is taking our jobs. AI will not replace MERN stack. AI will not replace React. AI will reduce the opportunities. That is pretty sure. Okay, in YouTube, you will say AI will replace developers. AI will never replace developers, but AI will reduce the demand of developers. That is sure. And already started, already it is on peak, guys. Already it is on peak. That's why if you see, there are very less openings these days, very less openings. People are struggling to get the job. Okay, that's why, guys, whatever you are learning, make sure you are learning very perfectly. Very perfectly you have to learn. Clear, guys, up to here? Okay, let's come back to our topic. Now, how many cards I am displaying on the screen, guys? How many cards I am displaying on the screen? 4 cards. Are you able to understand this difference between these two approaches? This approach and this approach? So this approach and this approach. Are you able to understand the difference? Why we are going with this approach from this approach? Because here we can add some CSS. We can add some CSS. Now, if you see, I am displaying 4 cards, but on these 4 cards, I am displaying same image, same content, same image, same content, same image, same content. But my requirement is in all the 4 cards, I want 4 different images. I want 4 different images on all these 4 cards. I want 4 different names on these 4 cards. How to do that? How to do that? Anybody knows how to do that? How to show different images on this card? How to show different content? Anybody have the idea about it? Yeah. Now I got some answers. Use props. The person who said use props, they might know the React. They might know the React. That's why you used this term, props. Okay. But the people who don't know React, now those people tell me how to do. Okay. I know you can't tell because you don't know the concept. That's why you can't tell. But once you know the concept, you can also tell. So to explain that part, how to pass or how to show different images and different content. First, I wanted to know, have you remembered functions concept in JavaScript? Functions in JavaScript. And if you remember in the first or second session, I have covered functions concept. Now, can you guys tell me what is the purpose of function? What is the purpose of function? Why we create functions in JavaScript? Why we create functions in JavaScript? Anybody knows what is the reason? Yes, the main reason is reusing the code. Using functions, we can reuse the code. And yes, we create functions to reuse the code. That is the first purpose. Now, second purpose. Inside the function, whatever code we will write. Now, to those code, can we pass input data? To our code, can we pass input data through functions? Yes. So to pass input data to functions, which concept we are going to use? Using which concept you can pass some input data to the functions? Yes, using a concept called parameters and arguments. Using a concept called parameters and arguments. Now this concept is going to come into the picture. Now into